This video helps you to remember the shape of reciprocal graphs that you need to know. So y equals 1 over x takes this shape. There are asymptotes. At these points the graph continually approaches the axes but will never touch or cross the axes. These exist for this graph because we can't divide by 0 or divide a whole number by anything to get 0. This graph goes through 1, 1 and -1, -1. So looking at this part just here, if we divide 1 by a fraction less than 1 but greater than 0, then we get a larger and larger number, because say 1 divided by a half is 2, 1 divided by a third is 3. So as you can see, the smaller and smaller the fraction gets, the larger and larger the number. So that's what creates this part of the graph. Similarly, the same happens for this area here, if we've got a negative fraction. So looking at this part of the graph, if we divide 1 by a number greater than 1, then we get a smaller and smaller and smaller number, and likewise for this part here. So all of these things explain why this graph looks the way it does. Okay, so let's have a look at what happens if the numerator changed from 1 to another positive number, like 2. So let's change it to y equals 2 over x. So this graph I've drawn in red, and it would look very similar to y equals 1 over x, but it will go through points 2, 1 and -2, -1. Therefore it will be further away from the origin than y equals 1 over x is. So if the numerator was negative, for example y equals -2 over x, the y equals -2 over x graph would look like this. As you can see, this is a reflection of y equals 2 over x. The positive values of the red graph, y equals 2x, have now become negative. So positive values have now become negative. So these negative values have now become positive, because we're multiplying by a negative number. So this green graph goes through points -2, 1 and 2, -1. The other type of reciprocal graph that you might be asked to produce is y equals 1 over x squared. So the features of this graph are connected to y equals 1 over x, but you are never dividing by a negative number because of the squaring on the denominator. So the graph looks like this and goes through 1, 1 and -1, 1. So y equals -1 over x squared looks like this in red, and it is a reflection of the graph y equals 1 over x squared in the x-axis. This is because all of the positive values here have been multiplied by a negative number. So all of the positive values that existed in the graph y equals 1 over x squared have now become negative. Some people are good at just remembering things, but others like to have a bit of a prompt to help them. So I hope that this video has helped you find some prompts to be able to create these graphs yourself. Thank you very much for watching.